I'd rather see a sermon than to hear one any day. I'd rather one should walk with me than just to show the way. The eye is a better pupil, more willing than the ear. Advice may be misleading, but examples are always clear. And the very best of teachers are the ones who live their creed. For to see good put into action is what everybody needs. I can soon learn how to do it if you let me see it done. I can watch your hand in motion, but your tongue too fast may run. And the lectures you deliver may be very fine and true, but I'd rather get my lessons by observing what you do. For I may misunderstand you in the fine advice you give, but there's no misunderstanding how you act and how you live your creed. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a great group. Good morning.
Good morning.
I love poetry. Love it. Because it speaks to the spirit, right? It is definitely an honor, it's definitely a privilege to have the opportunity to come back. For those who remember me from last time, I think I mentioned that 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to move to Washington, D.C. So I'm just here visiting this week, and partly because Marlo and Greg and those guys asked me back, right? And so I'm very thankful for that. But I had the opportunity to go out to Washington, D.C. to be the superintendent of the Department of Youth and Rehabilitation Services out there. And so tremendous opportunity and very thankful and very blessed, right? And partly, I stand here before you today because I am the individual who stood on the shoulders of those who came before me, right? Matter of fact, all of us are. See, in preparation for coming here, you know, I had to spend some time thinking and meditating and looking back over my life, right? How many of you all do that? You know, you take the time to look back over your life. See, when I came last time, I came to talk about social-emotional issues and concerns. And this time, I really wanted to talk about the importance of mentoring, right? The importance of being a volunteer. Some years ago, I had the opportunity to read a book by Max Lucado called The Cure for a Common Life. Anybody familiar? The Cure for a Common Life. He's a prolific author. You should read a lot of his writings. But one of the things that he talks about is that we should take the time to sort of go backwards through our life. We should take the time to go backwards in our life and look at various life-defining moments. Because from a very early age, mentors, volunteers, tutors, people impact your life in a way that you don't even realize or that you even are prepared to understand the impact. And so I did that the other night. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, who had the impact on my life? Of course, my mother and my father. How many mothers and fathers had impact on your life, right? Absolutely. But then there was other people along the way, teachers. I remember my Cub Scout leader telling me that I was special, telling me that I was important, speaking that very life into me that I needed when I didn't even know that I needed it at the time. Can you all relate to that? Yeah. My band instructor, Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright was just a very strict individual. Mr. Wright never smiled until after you did what you asked him, what he asked you to do. Mr. Wright would walk into the room with precision, right? But he was serious about his craft. And because he was serious about his craft, it taught me to be serious about life. My football coach, my basketball coach, all of these individuals have served as mentors in my life. And how many of you know that sometimes you're a mentor and you didn't even ask to be? You're a mentor because there's a young person watching you each and every day. It's something about you. It's your style. It's the way you talk. It's the way you walk. It's the way you handle things, right? I lost both of my parents in the last 11 years. And so a lot of what I do when I talk to people, when I talk to my staff, is I share stories about my mother. I share stories about my father. Things that I used to think was crazy that they used to say now resonate with me. My father was from Mississippi. You know, he was an old Mississippi boy, and so he didn't have the best language or way of saying things, but he would say simple stuff that meant a lot. Now, at the time, I didn't know what he was talking about. He would say, son, every tub got to sit on its own bottoms. Anybody heard that? Right? And I'm like, what does a tub have to do with the conversation that we're having right now? Right? Or if me and my sisters would try to pull one over on him, he would say, son, I'm not the little boy that carried the pumpkin to town. It took me years to figure out that he was trying to say, I'm no fool. I wasn't born yesterday, last week, or last month. Or one of the ones that used to frustrate me the most was whenever I really wanted to know the answer to some complex situation, like what was going on between him and my mother, that he knew I wouldn't understand, he would say, son, keep living. And now I tell my daughter, Maya, keep living. Mentors, parents, elders play a very important part in our life, and so I just want you all to give yourselves a round of applause right now, in this moment. Because you don't even have to be here. You didn't have to show up. I talked about 80% of success is a show-up test. You guys showed up, and you didn't have to. You guys made a commitment, and you didn't have to. And the thing is, a lot of times when people are willing to pour into other people, no one is pouring into them. No one is pouring into the very people that know that this society needs help. How many of y'all know our society needs help? Right, it needs help. One of the things, because I work in corrections, I work in juvenile corrections, one of the things since September, when I saw you guys last, I've had the opportunity, and I've been very blessed, right? Very blessed to have the opportunity to see and do some of the things that I've done. I've had the opportunity since September to travel this country, from the East Coast to the West Coast, touring various juvenile facilities. I spent a week in L.A. County Probation. L.A. County Probation is the largest probation system in the world. Wow. 7,000 employees, $830 million budget. $830 million budget. Guess what the second largest system in the world is? Cook County. Cook County. So you have to think, we spend this type of money incarcerating, locking up, and for the field that I work in, we're locking up young people. More and more throughout the country. The facilities I saw in L.A. County, 5 facilities. Young people. I came back to Chicago, went to Cook County Juvenile Detention. 300 young people. I went to Rikers Island after watching the Khalif Browder story. Anybody watch that? The Khalif Browder story? Rikers Island, the day I was there, was 10,000 people on the island. Some say on average it costs anywhere from $50,000 to $85,000 a year to incarcerate. In juvenile settings, sometimes it's even upwards of $150,000 to $200,000. And when you start looking at the data and the statistics, what you find out is that they're reading below their grade level. Their opportunities are limited because of lack of proper education. That's why what you all do each and every day, when you guys volunteer, when you guys tutor, when you guys mentor, you have the opportunity to keep a young person out the system that I work in every day. Because see, I deal in the world of reentry. I deal in the world of after you've made a mistake, after you've done this, after you've committed a crime, maybe we can take you back into society, but it's so difficult at that point. If we deal with prevention and intervention and get these young people to believe in themselves when nobody else believed in them, we'll be all right. I've had great mentors. I've had giants in my life. One of the other reasons I'm here this week is that my best friend, I've known since the 2nd grade, his mother passed last week and the funeral was Wednesday. So although I planned to fly in Thursday, I had to change and fly in Tuesday night to stand with my best friend because his mother, Gloria Barnett Brookins, was a mentor to me. She was a tall woman, about 6 feet tall, and I remember in 2nd grade looking up at her. But she was a strong woman. She believed in civil rights. She believed in fighting for what was right. And she was a mentor. And I didn't even know it. And when I got that text, because we don't call people no more, I got the text at 4:30 in the morning that she had made her transition. And I sat up on the side of my bed and I started thinking, I said, you know what? If they would allow me, I want to talk about what she meant to me as a kid. Because we go to these services and they say, oh, you only get 2 minutes. And it's like, you can't talk about a person that's tremendous and wonderful and been a blessing to you. It ain't even fair that they just give you only 2 minutes. So I took about 5. But she was an important part of my growth, my development, me being the person that I am today. And so I knew I had to come. I wanted to come and be able to pour into each and every one of you and to say, let's keep going. Let's not give up the fight. You know, one of the things, like, I watch Netflix and different things like that. There's a show on right now called The Chi. Anybody familiar with that? Okay. So look, before you start clapping, let me just tell you something. Not living in Chicago now, but everybody know that I'm from Chicago. They watching The Chi, and then they come in and ask me questions like, is this what's really going on? And I often wonder, like, if I probably was living here, I probably would like the show. But because I don't live here anymore, I don't like it. And I don't like it because I'm tired of media showing the negativity. I'm tired of them showing all of the ills. Where the camera's at now? Why we don't have a TV show about AARP volunteer corps? Why don't we have a show about how these people have worked throughout their careers, retired, and said, my work is not done yet, across the city of Chicago, the city that y'all like to broadcast worldwide as having the most problems. Let's do a show about that. About 8 or 9 years ago, I had an idea. I wanted to write a book. And if anybody, I'm sure there's some people in here who's written books, right? I didn't have the confidence. About 10 years ago, I didn't have the confidence, right? I didn't have the confidence because I'm like, who would read my book, right? How do you even write a book? But I came across this gentleman named Dr. John Zellum. He was out of Boomsville, Mississippi. I met him at a Les Brown speaking event. And he had just written a book. And I said, Dr. Zellum, how do you? I said, man, you wrote this book. Matter of fact, I bought his book, right? And I said, Dr. Zellum, how do you write a book? And Dr. Zellum, even though he went back to Mississippi, we talked on the phone every week. And he said, look, Mac, this is what I did. He took me through his entire process. Chapter by chapter, making piles. I had piles of information on my dining room table, right? He became a mentor. He didn't have to. And about 6 months later, I had written my first book called B.E.L.I.E.V.E. Yeah, you clap for that. Called B.E.L.I.E.V.E. If you can see it, you can be it. We'll talk about that in a minute, right? So, I wrote it in like 2008 and sat on it for another 5 years because I didn't believe that I could put something out. And I think it was 2014, I believe, is when I got with a publisher. Well, actually, it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon.com. It's an ebook right now, but I plan to go to hard copies in the near future. But it was something that somebody who didn't have to guided me through. And so this morning, I want to walk you through the acronym B.E.L.I.E.V.E. because I believe that mentoring is important, tutoring is important, but these keys are the things that not only you need to take away with you today, but the young people that you work with, they need to be bought into these nuggets of wisdom. The B in B.E.L.I.E.V.E. stands for buy-in. You have to be bought into anything that you involve yourself in. Otherwise, what? You're wasting your time, right? A great salesman or saleswoman, if they're great, is because they believe what? They believe in themselves, and they also believe in the product. right? One of my mentors used to say, Max, sometimes it's hard to see the picture while it's in the frame, right? See, we often see, other people often see us in a way that we don't see ourselves. That's why it's important to speak into people's lives. That's why it's important to encourage people. That's why it's important when somebody falls, you can tell them they can get back up. That's why it's important to have something positive to say. You know, they say that it takes 16 positive thoughts to cancel out one negative thought. That's the power of negativity. 16 positive thoughts to cancel out one negative thought. And you know what? In this world, it's so easy to be negative. It's fun to be negative. People be by the water cooler talking about negative stuff, don't they? That's why you got to stay away. Who be by the water cooler? You got to stay away from the water cooler because water cooler. Can you believe she came in here with that dress on? There's not too many positive conversations at the water cooler like, you know, he just got a promotion and he deserved it. We have to be intentional about being positive. What did our mothers used to say? If you don't have anything good to say, don't say nothing at all. And so if that requires you to walk around work all day and don't say a word, you may have to do that. The E in B.E.L.I.V.E stands for enthusiasm. Nothing great, nothing powerful, nothing meaningful, nothing that has been long-standing has ever been created without a great deal of enthusiasm. Many of you that are fraternal and sororities and things, you understand, I know I went through a process where it required enthusiasm, right? One of the first poems I learned under duress, right, was a poem called Invictus. And I used to say it with so much enthusiasm that anybody outside of this building can feel me down all the way down 63rd Street. I don't know if that covers me. Black is a bit from pole to pole. I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeon of chain, my head is bloody, but I'm bound. Enthusiasm. And I was happy to say it. That was over 25 years ago. Sometimes when I see my dean, I still. So we have to have enthusiasm. When you're enthusiastic about the things that's important to you, a difference is made. When you do, I remember my senior year in high school. It was Parents' Day. My father worked a lot, so he didn't come to my games. My mother came to every game that I ever played in. She came to every band performance. Moms they like that. How many moms are like that, right? But this was Parents' Day. And so I'm like, Dad, you gonna be able to make it to the game? Well, son, I don't know, I gotta work. So somebody gotta feed you, right? Fathers always try to make you feel bad. Right. So if you come to my game, you're gonna get fired, right? So I remember I looked up in the stands, I saw my mother, right? Of course, she was there because she was always there. But right before halftime, I looked up there and I saw Big Mac walking in. And my enthusiasm level went to it went out of the stratosphere, right? Because see, Mom saw me play, but Dad hadn't saw me play, and I was so enthusiastic about him being there. How many of you know that sometimes when you walk into these schools, these young people's eyes light up because you showed up? Their eyes light up. I went on to be the defensive player of the week that week just because my father showed up. He ain't coming to no more games. But that was good enough. I appreciated that he showed up that day. Enthusiasm will take us further than we can ever imagine. The third nugget is the L, which stands for love of self. Many of us, not just children, many of us well into our adulthood, struggle with loving ourselves. We struggle with loving ourselves. We struggle with receiving compliments. Somebody say, oh, you look nice. Oh, I look all right. How many people you know that do that? Would you just take the compliment? But we struggle with receiving positive feedback about ourselves. Some people say it's as a result of trauma. Because growing up, people told you all your life you weren't going to do nothing. Or why you look like that? Or for the ladies, their mother or their grandmother tell them, you need to lose weight. And ain't no man gonna want you if you don't. Right? We have to speak life. And we have to teach our young people to love themselves. To not try to be anybody other than themselves, right? You can only be the best version of who you are. You can't be anybody else. Like I used to want to be like Luther Vandross. Right? I wanted to sing. But I couldn't sing. I'm disappointed to this day about that. Like, why he able to sing like that? And Ruben Studdard and all these different people. Right? Because people would say things to me like, you look like you can sing. Like, I don't even know what that means. But I tell my daughter who can sing, I tell her today, your father would be a mess. If God had given me a voice to sing, I would be a mess. I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be somewhere acting like Bobby Brown or something, right? People's gifts are something that come to them naturally. It's just like, you know, and people laugh when I say it, when I talk to young people. I say, your gift may be baking cakes or baking cookies. McGee, what are you talking about? Famous Amos. Right, what's the other? Miss Fields. Right? That was their lane. They got in their lane and they drove in that lane. People have to love themselves in the skin that they're in, with the mind that they have, from wherever they come from, because we're supposed to do all that we can with all that we have from the place that we are. Do all that we can with all that we have from the place that we are. The I is for inspiration. How many of you all have had people who have been true inspirations in your life? Yeah, every hand goes up. True inspirations. But it's not only that we need to have inspirations or people to inspire us, we need to be an inspiration. We need to be a walking inspiration. One of my good friends, his name is Nick. I've known Nick since kindergarten, right? Nick got to be one of the hardest working individuals that I know. Me and my best friend, we was joking about Nick. Nick was one of the pallbearers the other day. Nick has consistently worked 6 days a week. I'm 46 years old. Nick started working for the guy he works for and is in business with now when he was 16, right? After school at a gas station. Now he's co-owners of gas station and car washes, right? But it requires for him to work 6 days a week, right? So when my best friend called him about being a pallbearer, the funeral was on Wednesday, he knew what Nick was going to say. Nick said, no problem, Jamie. I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to work for a couple of hours first, and then I'll be there by 11 o'clock. Nick is an inspiration because Nick is so committed to what he does. See, it would have been easy for somebody to say, hey, my friend mom died. I ain't going to be in today. Folks be looking for reasons not to go to work, right? Who died? Your cousin, sister's mother's brother? I can't make it. But Nick is consistent. See, sometimes just being consistent can be inspirational. Sometimes having a level of commitment can be inspirational because a person knows what to expect from you, that you're not going to let them down. It's so many young men and women sitting in the windows on weekends waiting for their daddy to pick them up and they never show up. Fortunately, that wasn't my situation. But you work with a lot of young people where that's their situation. You need to be an inspiration to them. You need to be able to drop nuggets of wisdom about your life. Because whether you realize it or not, young people are curious about your life. Well, why did you do that? Well, what made you do that? Miss Ann, Mr. Chuck, why did you do that? And then what happened? That's why when I was growing up, we couldn't sit around grown folks because kids are nosy. Right? Kids are nosy because and then they're going to tell it all. Right? I was one of them kids. My mother was a beautician. She had a shop, and then at one point she started doing, you already know, she started doing hair, and that was back when there was flat iron and all that. Compressing, right? And she'd be in the kitchen, and she had the same customers come in on a weekly basis. So I couldn't sit near the kitchen, but I would just be down the steps. And I would hear everything. What Henrietta say? But my point is this. Yeah, what is my point? preparation. Because kids are always listening. That was my point. See, God will bring it back to you. Kids are always listening, observing, when you don't even think they're listening, and observing. How you carry and conduct yourself has to be consistent. How you enter a room, how you exit a room, your presence speaks. It does, whether you realize it or not. Look, I can't spell. I'm not good up there like, what's the next letter? E, thank you. V, see, look. Hey, E, right? Yeah. Woo, you gotta have energy. I'm running out of energy, right? You gotta be prepared for this fight. There's some of you all who have a great routine. Some of you all get up, you go walking, you do your thing. You have to be prepared for this fight. You have to have a great deal of energy. You have to get your proper rest. About 5 or 6 years ago, actually my best friend once again, he said, Mac, I started taking naps. I'm laughing at him. I said, man, you taking naps? For real? Like, really you just like get tired and you take, he said, yeah, man, I'll take a 20-minute nap. This is like better than having 2 hours of sleep, right? Guess who take naps now? Every chance I get. Because I got a 15-year-old daughter and I got to be prepared and have the energy for that fight, right? She just turned 15, January 15. I'm with her yesterday. She planning her 16th birthday. Dad, it's going to be a Winter Wonderland theme. And Maya, who paying for this? I got to have the energy. We have to have the energy. We're in crisis mode, right? We are. We're in crisis mode, particularly here in Chicago. You got to have the energy. You have to be prepared to go in. You're going to go in, and some days you're going to go in and not be able to deal with any of the lesson plan that you thought. You know, they say life is what happens while you're making plans. You got your lesson plan all filled out. You're going to go sit with little Johnny, and little Johnny say, my father beat my mother last night. My mother was drunk last night. I ain't seen my mother. My big brother beat me up. I could go on and on, but you guys hear it for real. They ain't got time to talk about phonics and subject verb agreement. They don't have time for that at that moment because they need something else from you, which is just a listening ear for you to just care about them. The V is for vision. Without vision, the people perish. It was Helen Keller who said, I'd rather have vision without sight than sight without vision, right? I call it the theater of the mind. See, we can create what it is we want out of our life in our mind. Matter of fact, you've already done that. Somebody in here thought about being a volunteer. Did you not? As a matter of fact, everybody thought about it. And because you first thought about it, look, you sitting here. It started as a thought. The power of thought. Having vision. And when you have vision, you can bring it to fruition. You can bring it to manifestation. Every great thing that we see in this world started because somebody had a vision. Walt Disney had a vision. And when he shared his vision the first time, talking about he got this big rat, people thought he was out of his mind, right? But there's not a person in the room ain't been to Disneyland, Disney World, kids, right? Because he had a vision. Alexander Graham Bell said, I want to talk to somebody that's not here. Ain't that right? Telephones, right? We got smartphones. I often say that sometimes our phones are smarter than we are. But it all started because somebody had an idea. Somebody had a vision. Somebody had a vision about this. Why don't we take the wealth and the experience of all of these individuals who have committed their life to education and to giving back and start a volunteer corps? Somebody had a vision. We have to be able to have a vision for our life, a vision for our work, a vision for our purpose. I don't care what anybody says, this is the greatest country in the world. Hey, we clap for that. We clap for that. Politics aside, it doesn't matter. This is a great country. You can go anywhere. You can do anything. You free. It has its challenges, but it's challenges all over this world. But we at least have free will and choice to make a difference. And right now, the people who are not choosing to make a difference, it seems like they're winning. Doesn't it appear that way? It seems like they're winning because we're not controlling the message. It should be camera crews here. It should be somebody from ABC, CBS, NBC, CLTV. It should be somebody covering what you all are doing and what AARP is doing. Clap, you clap for that? We have to say, I often ask young people, do you want to be a millionaire? Yeah. I mean, who don't want to be? Do anybody want to be a millionaire? Well, no, I'm talking to the phone. There's probably a bunch of millionaires in here, right? She's like, I ain't about to raise my hand. Look, give myself away. So, yeah, I ask young people, do you want to be a millionaire? They all, yeah. And I say, but do you expect? Do you expect to be a millionaire? Do you have expectations? Do your actions line up with the expectations that you have for yourself? Do you know what it will cost? Do you know the price you have to pay? Do you know the research, the study, and how much schooling, right? How you need to get focused on a certain craft, right? Everybody that's a millionaire, they don't have a PhD, but they got focused in on a craft. My father had no education, but he was a hard worker. His craft was, man don't work, don't eat. Somebody taught him that in Mississippi a long time ago. Man don't work, you don't eat. It stuck with him. That was the expectation for his life. And what he used to say to me and my sisters is, son, get the education that me and your mother didn't get. Stand on the shoulders. It's 4 of us. Between the 4, me and my 3 sisters, we have earned 8 degrees. My parents have no formal education. And so actually every generation should get better. But it's almost like we're sliding backwards. And we got to figure out how to turn the Titanic because the iceberg is in view. About 20 some odd years ago, I had the opportunity to write a proposal, a federal proposal to, I want to say it was after former President Clinton had written a crime bill. Crime bill legislation came out. I had an opportunity to write a proposal about a mentoring program. And it was funded. I think I was like 25 at the time. I don't know. It was funded for $250,000. And that sounded like a lot of money to me at the time. You know, somebody said, well, man, that's $250,000. But I would tell people I got funded for $250,000. Sounded better, right? But, and Marlo remember this, we started a program in Fort Heights, Illinois. At that time, Fort Heights, every year, you would look up, they was on the news. It's the poorest community in the country. Y'all remember that? Every year, it's the poor. It's like, would y'all stop telling people they rich? Telling people that they're not at risk, that they're at promise. So we went into Fort Heights with a program called the Jadani Project, right? I was on fire, I was enthusiastic, I was full of hope, I was full of zeal, I wanted to change the world, and I still do. And we started with 5th and 6th graders in Fort Heights, and then we was able to get some money, some additional money to go with the federal money that we had from, they used to call local area networks. We was able to get some money, and so they said, why don't you expand it into Robbins, Illinois? And so we expanded that project into Robbins, Illinois, right? And I met a young man in Robbins named Richard Brooks. Richard Brooks was 11 years old at that time. He's 33 now, okay? Richard was, and you know, I lost track of Richard, but Richard never lost track of me.
Far back as I can remember, I've always had some type of mentor in my life. I may not have realized who the mentor was or, you know, where exactly, why they came out, but mentors have always played a big role in my life. I come from a family of 3 and separated mother and father, and during this time I tried to figure things out. I tried to work things out, the best I could as a little kid. Now looking back, I see that mentoring has, those mentors, they played a big role in my life. And in that capacity, they would step in the gap. My father was in and out. My mother worked constantly when my father was not around. And to have that person there and available to kind of like show me how to be a man, what decisions to make. I didn't grow up in a household where my father was completely absent. There'd be periods of time when he was doing his thing because of certain addictions and things like that. He just wasn't available. During that time in my life, there were needs as far as growth and development and knowledge that I needed as a young man. And I really didn't know that I needed it, but looking back, those mentors that stepped up on that one day, they provided an opportunity to create a way that I can come out and I can see exactly what a young black man from an urban neighborhood should be, where he should go, things he should be aware of, conversations about sex, drugs, violence, community activism, politics, social awareness, those type of questions that I didn't even know to even ask or to even talk about. But those mentors, they created that avenue and that space to engage dialogue. And I carry that with me even to this day. Without mentorship, there would not have been anything post-secondary education. High school probably would have been it. After high school, I may have just come home and just got a good job, paying bills, still living at home, helping my mom, doing the same thing that she did, and continuing on with all of those generational tendencies. But mentorship created this whole new avenue, whole new perspective about going to high school, completing college, getting a master's degree, seeking out different fields, trying different things, different aspects about life. That helped out a lot. I could have chosen any route in my life, but the routes that I chose now, they benefit so many more. They benefit so many people because of the impact that the mentors in my life had. And for that very reason, I give back to this day. I started my own non-for-profit called Dads Can Do, and we're mentoring young fathers to be better fathers for their kids. Mentoring actually only takes a minute. It only takes 5 minutes to be a mentor. It can be just that quick. No matter whether it's 5 minutes, it's 1 hour, 2 days, 1 weekend, a month, 1 month out of a year, whatever it is. That impact that you play in someone's life is crucial, and it could be the difference between life and death. I've seen it. Many of my friends that I've grown up with over the course of 20 years who chose not to be a part of the mentoring programs that I chose to be in, they're no longer here. And in my mind, the reason for that is because of the lack of mentorship. So I know that what I say to be true, to be firm, and that's why I believe in mentoring. And thank you for your time.
So, when he reached out to me, I said, well, Rich, what are you doing today? So when he sent me this, I said, oh man, I got to show him. A graduate of Chicago State University with a bachelor's degree in education. MBA with a project management endorsement from the Keller Graduate School of Management. Graduate of Landmark Forum. Past president of the second greatest fraternity on earth. Kappa Alpha Psi, Fraternity Incorporated. I don't know what that says. Married for 7 years. See, I made a mistake on that fraternity, but we're going to talk. But married for 7 years, father of 3. Currently working at Noble Network of Charter Schools as a senior IT project manager. The charter school services over 17,000 students and 2,500 staff, the second biggest school district in the state of Illinois. Humble. I was 25, just wanted something. I just wanted to make a difference because somebody had made a difference for me. Not even thinking I would see 46, because you know when you're young, you think you're going to be young forever. And to have him and others reach out to me and say that made a difference. And to see how well he's doing, coming from Robbins, another community where they say black men don't come out of there unless they go into jail or the grave. He was going to try to make it here today, but he was double booked, so he sent a video so you can hear from him. At the time that you're doing it, you don't know that that's the impact that you're going to have. A mentor who told me years ago, she saw my effort, I would get real frustrated sometimes because it felt like I wasn't making a difference. Like, I mean, I'm sure everybody here experiences that. And she told me two things. Her name was Linda Nelson. It's important to remember people that have put something in you, right? She said, man, children don't care what you know until they know that you care. You could have been at the top of the food chain in your career, the best scientist, the best this, and that. They don't care about that. They don't even know what that is. They don't know that you went to Cornell or Harvard or Northwestern or U of I or Illinois State. They don't care about that. All they care about is, does this person care about me? Do I get a genuine sense that they care? Children don't care what you know until they know that you care. The other thing she said, because she felt like I was going to burn out, right? Because you know when you come into knowledge and information that you think is transformative, you think everybody's supposed to get it as fast as you did. So I was like, what's wrong with them? She said, Mac, just keep planting those seeds. Just keep planting those seeds. Keep fertilizing and watering, and you will see it grow. And since that time, I run into individuals in the streets, at stores. Mr. McGee. Now they always say this, you can gain some weight, sister. So you eat good, Mr. McGee. But they love to tell me what they're doing now. I got a family, I have a daughter. I got married, I went to the military. All of you all have experienced it. That's what makes it worth it, is that you have the opportunity to plant seeds. If you're dealing with young people where their house is just, I used to do home visits, right? Anybody ever do home visits? Home visits, where some homes you don't even want to sit down.
That's right.
Come on in, Mr. McGee, have a seat. I'll stand by the door. I mean, you know, shaking your coat when you leave. Some young people live in some serious conditions. How can they concentrate? How can they think? They cold. They ain't eating. When I was working at Urban Prep right here on the west side, the West Campus, we had a person in the lunchroom in the morning because we provided breakfast, right? There was always some kids that wanted 2 or 3. And she was looking at it like, they not supposed to have that. I was the dean, I would come down there and be like, give it to them. They hungry. Right? Because they probably haven't eaten since yesterday at lunchtime. But you don't know that, and so you sticking to the rules, trying to get them in trouble. So now the boy hungry, he want an extra breakfast, I'm gonna suspend him because we have to be aware of what we're dealing with. And we have to plant those seeds of hope. So a couple of years ago, and see, this is what I'm talking about, positive programming, right? A producer approached me a couple of years ago, 2014, I want to say. He saw the work I was doing. Here in Chicago on the South Side, I used to have a program called Manhood Development Camp. It was featured, I want to say in May of 2014, 2015, with a picture of with the mayor next to it, Rahm Emanuel, you know what I'm saying, talking about they've heard the call. We really didn't hear his call, but the paper gonna make it seem like, but it was a good article, right? Because what I did was I started putting this thing up on my social media saying, get off the sidelines. And I was particularly, for the ladies, I was talking to men. I had an issue with me, I still do. I'm like, get off the sidelines. All these murders, all these young people dying. Get off the sidelines. Because see, social media, you get everything. You know where all the parties at, what clubs hopping, the best restaurant, and folks liking, like. But when it's come time to ask people to volunteer, crickets. So I started challenging people, get off the sidelines. That was the mantra, get off the sidelines. Manhood development camp. Well, so then folks started pushing back, well, Matt, what you talking about? Well, so then I said, well, I gotta do something. So I got with some of my fraternity brothers and a couple good friends, and we started a GoFundMe account. Called around, I put out on social media, look, I need a place to hold the camp. A friend of mine worked at Leo High School. He went and talked to whoever he needed to talk to. They said they can have the space for free. They gave us the space for free, and for 12 weeks, we raised $8,000. $8,000, I was able to feed them every week when they showed up, breakfast and lunch. I was able to pull speakers from the community. I told men, I don't care what you do. It don't matter. It don't matter your profession. All that matters is that you're positive, that you're productive, and that you have something to say. And they would come, and I'd give them a $50 gift card for their time, gas money. You know, I had no enough to give them no honorarium. Right? And we ran 2 cycles of that. And it was featured in the Defender, and it was featured in the Sun-Times, and it was featured in a lot of these other, you know, but we couldn't get no media out. Couldn't get no funding. We were saying, black men, get off the sidelines. Get off the sidelines. Stop going to all the parties. You show up for every party. I'm a Q. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi. At Founders Day, there's no room to sit down. Get off the sidelines. Manhood, scholarship, perseverance, uplift. That's our cardinal principles, uplift. And so one of my frat brothers, he's a producer. He said, Matt, he saw what I was doing. He said, you know what? He said, you know what, Matt? I got something we can do. We're going to produce a show. And this was going to be the opening of the show. but it got table. So we have to be concerned. See, we got to work behind the scenes. They're not going to put us up front. They're going to put the Chi, they're going to put Chicago Code, and there's a producer, he works for one of the stations. He said, Mac, we got to do this. He put that together. That was like the first run. You know, we told him he needed to speed it up a little bit, but that, you know, you get the point, right? It was going to be something that was compelling. The three of us was going to be there talking on a weekly basis about the issues in our community, and as men, how we can help to solve them. It got tabled. But that's fine, because we're going to continue to work behind the scenes. Right? So, for all you football fans, because this is not original work. I ain't sit up last night and come up with all this great stuff myself. Tony Dungy did. Anybody read his book? Mentor Leader? Okay. Excellent book. Excellent book. By one of the best coaches that NFL has ever seen. Very humble individual, right? Because not only are you a mentor, but if you're a mentor, you're a leader. They're one and the same, right? And so he talks about the mandate of a mentor, the focus on significance, right? The fact that as mentors, we put others first. Right? We always caring about others. That's just how we get out. That's just how we live. We're concerned about others. Sometimes we're so concerned about others, we don't properly take care of ourselves. I do a workshop at the facility I work at. It's called self-care, 911. We also call it compassion fatigue. Because sometimes when you're caring so much for other people, you forget to care for yourself. But that's just who we are, right? Mentors pursue meaningful, long-standing relationships. Richard, I've known him since he's 11, he's 33. I said, man, stop telling people you're 33. That make me close to 50, right? But meaningful, long-standing relationships. Mentors' motives are aligned with doing what's best for others. The only reason I'm doing this is because it's good for you. I have your best interests at heart when I come to you. When I show up at your school, it's because I'm concerned about your outcome. Right? Mentors can never lose sight of the mentee. Never lose sight about the mentee. It's all about our mentees, right? This was something that was in there. Young men with positive male role models have something to live for, someone proud of them, someone who cares about their well-being. When you walk into that room, pay attention. If you haven't been paying attention, pay attention when you show up. And their eyes light up. Because some of them don't really have people that they genuinely feel care about them. They're a burden. A lot of the young people we work with, they're burdens to their family. They weren't planned. It didn't work out between mom and dad. I had you too soon. I wanted to use an accident. Who would tell their child it was an accident? My auntie, my mother used to tease my auntie because she was born in the back of a yellow cab. They used to call her the yellow cab baby. But see, that labeling and stuff, they impact. Because she would get upset. I mean, she was grown. She's deceased now, but she was a grown woman. We'd be at family gatherings. They'd be, oh, your yellow cab baby. She'd get upset. So, some of us seek success, mentors, leaders, volunteers. We seek to be significant. It's cool to be successful. There's a lot of successful people that's not significant at all. They have no level of significance. They're just wealthy. We won't call any names. The mindset of a mentor is not about you. It was a book. What's that book I read some years ago? I can't think of the title. It was a pastor out of California. He wrote a book. Sold millions and millions of copies worldwide. I'm hoping we in the church. I'm hoping somebody know the book, right? But anyway, I remember in his book, like in the first couple of chapters, this was probably like 2003. I read it. And he prayed, he did the inauguration for Obama or something. He prayed, he did, what's it? Purpose-driven life. Thank you. We got one Christian in here. Purpose-driven life, right? Rick Warren. He says that in his book, right? So I remember reading the book, and I got to the part where he said, it's not about you. And I called my mother, because I was a little more selfish at that time. I said, what the hell, if it's not about me, who's it about? It's about God's purpose for your life. That was her response. It's about what you do should glorify him. It's not about you, son. It ain't never been about you. You thought it was about you. It's not. So as mentors, we come to this work knowing that it's not about us. Mentors understand it's about others. How many other people can I help? How many other people who saw their parents go through a divorce and struggle like I did? How many other people had 3 older sisters that terrorized them that I can help, right? It's about others. We want others to benefit from our experiences and things that we went through, right? Mentors understand that they are servant leaders. When I was studying ministry, I learned about the fact that we have to be servants, right? And that before you can lead, you must have to first learn to follow. You learn to follow. If you're a good follower, you possibly could be a good leader, but you got to learn how to follow. Mentors are prepared to experience success without seeking credit. I don't want no credit. Mr. Parker, when he spoke into my life as a child, he didn't want no credit. Chuck Collins, when he spoke into my life as a child, he didn't want no credit. William Breckler, my freshman basketball coach, he didn't want no credit. We used to have to show up on game day. We freshmen. We had to show up on game day with a jacket and a tie. I didn't even have a tie. Didn't know how to tie a tie. My mother bought me a clip-on. How many of y'all mothers bought clip-on? I'm walking around with clip. Everybody else got a real tie. I got a clip-on. But William Breckler taught us order, to do things decent and in order, right? I didn't understand at the time, like we kind of play basketball, wear a tie. And he'd have his Bible under his hand. Right? Now, he wasn't trying to force nothing on nobody, but that's who he was. He carried his Bible. We go into the locker room. He wouldn't necessarily make us all pray, but we would see William Breckler over in the corner before the game. Right? He didn't want no credit. He don't know I'm saying that he live in Colorado now. I ain't even talked to him in years. I talked to his son because we was on the same team together. We're not looking for credit when we help people. That's why it talks about when you do something, you ain't got to tell everybody. What's the point in telling everybody? You know, I donated $10,000 last year. Why? Who you talking? Why?
Okay.
Just do it. Ain't nobody's business, really. Because if you was doing it for the right reason, you wouldn't have to feel the need to tell.
That's right.
Mentors are all about service to others. A look within, the maturity of a mentor. Mentors take a true inventory of self, right? That introspective thinking, like we all have to do that. I do it more now than ever, right? Having lost both of my parents, I'm seeing my grandparents pass on, parents of friends of mine and things like that. Yeah, I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? You start thinking more than you've ever thought before. Right? And I have a child now. She went to the funeral with me the other day, right? She said, Dad, you want me to go? Yeah, come on, right? And I wanted her to just be there with me, right? I didn't want to scare her, because some parents scare you. You know this is going to be me one day. You going to be doing this? I didn't do that to her because she's intelligent. She's intelligent, right? But I want her to understand that this is a process of life, right? This is what we go through. Mentors realize that in order to change anything, you must first confront it. Nothing in society, nothing in our life, nothing in our communities, nothing in this world can be changed unless we're first willing to confront it. And we know how scary it is to confront certain things because it may not be popular, it's political, it's politicized, right? But we know all down through history the people who had courage to confront things that others like, man, you better not say that. Why he talking like that? He better watch it. We still say that, right? They better not align themselves with that person. But if you're going to fix these problems that we truly have in our society, we have to be honest about it. You have to be honest about what's going on with you. It was a place, I was in a space probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I had lost both my parents and I had went through a divorce. I was in a deep, dark place. I wasn't speaking at that time because I did an inventory. And I was taught by a mentor, Kevin Bracey, never speak from an empty place. How am I going to speak? I'm trying to figure out what the heck just happened to me, right? 2006, mother died. 2008, divorce. 2011, father died. I'm walking around a professional success but feeling like a private failure. Can anybody relate? Right? So I went, did a self-inventory, reached out to a pastor in this area named Reverend Mike Neal. Some of y'all might know him. Reverend Neal said, he prayed for me. He said, Mac, I'll pray for you. Go talk to somebody. Whatever your professions have been is because you thought about it. I'm going to be an engineer. I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a space. I'm going, a pilot. It's because you thought about it. It's biblical. Whatsoever a man thinketh, so is he. And if you're not aiming at nothing, guess what? You hit nothing dead on the head. Characteristics that matter. Mentors possess strong character and integrity. Strong character and integrity. Sometimes people struggle with that, but you have to make a decision. It's about making a decision. About 4 years ago, I stopped drinking. I just made a decision. My friends was mad at me. You know, people be needing you to drink with them. And they was like, well, did you have a problem? I never had a problem with drinking. I just decided at that time, I was 42, whatever, I decided I wanted to be in my right mind 100% of the time. That was just a decision that I made. It had nothing, I'm not making an indictment on brandy and bourbon, none of that. I just decided, Mac McGee, I don't want to drink anymore. And then folks say, well, you don't even do wine, you don't drink? I don't drink. I don't drink. It's a decision that I made. A lot of things are decisions that we make. I signed up for this program. They say I have to commit to a year. I'm going to show up every time I'm supposed to show up. Ma, where you going? I'm going to the AARP volunteers program. They asked you that this morning when you left out. Where you going? Mentors believe the time is always right to do what's right. Dr. King said that. The time is always right to do what's right. With my staff in D.C., I always talk about them. I stand for righteousness. You can't do something that's not right, and I'm not going to say something. Because I stand for what's right. And many of us have been in situations in our lives and our career where people want you to turn and look the other way. Mac McGee don't look the other way. But I put people on notice. I let them know in the door, look, whatever you into, I'm not. If you do it around me, I'm telling. I'm a grown man. I don't do that no snitch stuff. I'm grown. I can't believe grown folks walking around talking about no snakes. Snitches get stitches, right? That's kid stuff. Wait till I leave. Then do what you're going to do. But we have to have character and integrity. We have to do what's right. Mentors demonstrate trustworthiness. Can I trust you? Trust is something it's a lost thing these days, right? We don't know who to trust. Who we can share certain things with. Part of when I went to therapy is because I didn't feel I could trust even my best friend with all of my mess. So I went and talked to somebody who didn't know me and told everything. And and got help. And I'm here today. Therapy works. Mentors are competent. We need to be competent in the things that we do, the things that we teach, the things that we say. We need to be competent in who we are, what we represent. We need to be confident, right? Mentors have clear priorities. My goal here is only to make you better. My goal here is only to make you better. And mentors exercise faith. It is by faith that we all stand in here. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. Right? We got to have faith. Right? It's by faith. What Diane Reeves say? You know, in order to get to better days, you got to have faith. That used to be, I don't even know why that was a favorite. Great song. I used to love, my sister used to play that song. Y'all know what I'm talking about, the Diane Reeves song, Better Days? Is that a beautiful song?
Yes.
Talking about her grandmother, silver gray hair,
Yes.
found in place.
Yes.
It was 4 generations
Yes.
of love on her face. She was so wise, no surprise, past her eyes. She's seen it all. I can sing a little bit. Okay.
Come on, Luther.
Influence and impact. Mentors focus on impact. Mentors focus on changing lives. Mentors focus on intentionality. We have to be intentional. We have to be deliberate. On purpose. That was the word for the year. At the beginning of the year at my job, in our leadership meeting, I told everybody the word for the year is intentionality. Be intentional. Be deliberate. When someone say turn around and go talk to that kid again, turn around and go talk to that. Y'all know it. Y'all be walking away like I should say something, and then you don't. Be intentional. Turn around. You know what? It's one of the things I want to say to you. I love you. How many of you tell young people you love them? Why not? I love you. Some of them have never heard it from their parents. I don't know you and I love you. I tell that young people that all the time, I don't even know you, but I love you. I love the fact that you have all the potential and hope in this world. I love you. Mentors believe in role modeling. You're a walking role model. You're a walking billboard. You're a walking advertisement. That's why you got to monitor your conduct and how you carry yourself and what you do. Because guess what? You're in places in the public where your mentor sees you and you don't even know they saw you. They be like, there go Miss Williams. She be coming to my school on Thursday. What's she doing over there drinking? An old man bought a long highway, came at the evening cold and gray, to a chasm vast and wide and steep, with waters rolling cold and deep. The old man crossing the twilight dim, the sullen streams had no fears for him. But he turned when safe on the other side and built a bridge that would span the tide. Oh man, said a fellow pilgrim near, you are wasting your strength with building here. Your journey will end with the ending day. You never again will pass this way. You've crossed the chasm deep and wide, while I build you this bridge at even tide. The builder lifted his old gray head, good friend, in the path I've come, he said. There follows after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. The chasm that was as not to me, to that fair-haired youth man pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I am building this bridge for him. Good friend, we are building this bridge for them.
We are at our final in-service training. Mac McGee has just presented to our 160 volunteers. I can't say enough about what this means to our program in terms of inspiring our volunteer tutors to go back into the schools and really give the students all that they have. And that's what they do. So I really want to thank Mac for sharing the inspiration and sharing the time with us and helping make Experience Corp Chicago a Class A program. So thank you, Mac.
My name is Kevin Treadwell. I'm a volunteer for AARP. I just heard Brother McGee. He has inspired me. I am a closet writer, and just the things that he had talked about as far as like his initiation into writing and how long it took him, as well as the positive influences that he speaks on. And a lot of the things that he reminds me so much of my parents and the things that they have told me and taught me over the years. And for him to come and reiterate these things, and it just stirred everything back up in me. And I appreciate him. I remember him from the first time when we had talked as well. And I feel like he's given me more information. So with that being said, I just thank God for the brother, and I pray that he prosper in every way that he can and help us, because we need help.
I was super impressed by the presentation today by Brother Mac McGee, the inspiration of mentoring. What I really liked was the characteristics of being a mentor that I didn't realize that we all have. So I'm very grateful and very thankful for that presentation, pointing out the specifics and the characteristics of what a mentor being is. And Mac, man, love the presentation. Keep it coming.